All right, Shabbosai, good morning. Good morning. Let's just spend a few moments getting in a little Mesillas Yesharim today. Get a good start to the day, a good start to the week. So we left off, I actually just sent out on the WhatsApp chat a couple of pages more from Perek Aleph. We left off in the edition that I'm using that I sent out to you in Perek Aleph, still chapter 1, page Chaf Aleph. Remember again, we left off on, I guess it was Friday, when the Ramchal really framed things I'm sorry, we left off earlier than that. Sorry, page Yotes. So we left off, which again, the edition that I'm using that I sent out to you is labeled paragraph Ches. Page Yotes, paragraph Ches. So remember again, the Ramchal on Friday went ahead and really framed the human condition in such a profound way. Remember again, he explained that life is in Milchama. It's all a Milchama. And the truth is, it's a Milchama no matter what your particular circumstances are. You know, we often think that challenge only comes in one set of circumstances. Person is suffering with poverty, that's a challenge. But wealth isn't a challenge. Person has health issues, that's a challenge. But a person is healthy, that's not a challenge. And we know that it's not true. It's not true that Ramchal says every single thing in this world, right? It's poverty, wealth, health challenges, everything creates a milchama. Everything is a challenge. And our job in this world is to successfully wage the battle. That is our avoda. And then Ramchal says, the more successful you are in the battle, and success is defined, says the Ramchal, in the ability to restrain myself, in the ability to hold myself back, in the ability to go ahead and rein in on my yetzer, the more successful I am in the battle. Ultimately, again, the more successful I am in life. So then Ramchal goes on, page Yotes. Ve'intamik od be'inyan. It's actually a very profound piece. If we look into this a little bit more, we'll see something very interesting. Tira, ki ha'olam nivra l'shimosh ha'adam. We'll discover something very interesting. The world was put here for our use. This is an incredible yisod. Why did Hashem create a beautiful world? Why did Hashem create a world in general with so many different things? It was created for us to use. This is an incredibly important yisod. We speak about this often, where this concept of, this is why Judaism is not an ascetic religion, right? We don't go ahead and believe that the pathway to God is paved through privation. But we understand that everything that Hashem put in this world, He put in for us, right? He put in for us to utilize. He goes on, he says, Amnam, hinehu omed b'shikol gadol. But listen to this. The Lashon over here is so profound. But everything hangs in an incredible balance, right? In an incredible measure. In what sense? Kima adam nimshach achara olam umisrachik mibaro. If a person is drawn after this world and utilizes earthly or material pleasures to veer away from God, hine humiskalkel umekalkel ha'olam imo. Ultimately, such a person goes ahead and literally miskalkel, destroys himself and destroys the world along with him. Really destroys is not really, corrupts himself and corrupts the world along with him. But if a person has control over himself, and a person clings to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and a person utilizes this world and its material aspects as a bridge, as a way of connecting with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he lifts himself up, and the world is lifted up with him. I will say, this is such an incredible yisod. What the Ramchal is saying is, here's the fact, right? The truth. The truth is that Hashem created a physical, material world for us to connect with Him. That's, if you think about this, by the way, Rav Sham Shlomo Hirsch talks about this by brachas. Why do you make a bracha? Right? A person picks up a cup of coffee. And they say, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam shakol yeh b'dvaro. Why do you make a bracha? The goal is to be able to see the Ribono Shel Olam in a cup of coffee. We all know at this time in the morning, you absolutely see the divine. Mamish. All I see is HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this coffee, right? In other words, but the idea on a serious level is to be able to see God in the material aspects of this world. A person lifts up a cup of coffee, a person lifts up an apple, a person sees a sunrise, a person gets a paycheck, right? The ability to see HaKadosh Baruch Hu in all of those things is the avoda of the Jew. And when I do that, I not only lift myself up, but I lift the world up. Because then, you see, when I see God in the material world, I'm sanctifying the material. And then the material is lifted up along with me. I'm lifted up because I'm using the world in the appropriate way. And the world is lifted up because the material world is being used in the proper consecrated way as well. Conversely, chas v'shalom, if I use the world, I enjoy the material world, but I divorce it from God, right? Or I do use the material world, but I don't use it as a bridge. Then at the end of the day, not only do I bring myself down, but I bring the world down as well. But on a deeper level, if you think about it, what was the chait of Adam Harishon? What was the chait? What was the sin of Adam? The sin of Adam is that Adam used the material world to drive a wedge between himself and God. God said, enjoy the world. Enjoy the world. But there's one thing you can't use. And your non-usage of it shows that you understand the physical world is here to create a connection. Adam misuses the material world, and by doing so drives a wedge between himself and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Says the Ramchal, when we misuse the world and don't use it as a vehicle of connection, but use it in a way that creates a division, not only do I bring myself down, but I literally bring the world down along with me. What an incredible sense of responsibility as to how we use the material world. He goes on, he says, Ki hine ilui gadol hu lebrios kulam, bios misham she'adam hashalim hamukdash b'kdushasa yizbarach. Because we'll say, understand, everything in this world was created to serve us. Right? In other words, everything material in the world is created to serve man. Hakadosh Baruch Hu doesn't need it. So why does Hakadosh Baruch Hu create such a beautiful material world? It's to go ahead and serve man. And therefore again, when man uses the material world in the right way, he's mamish allowing the physical world to fulfill its purpose. He goes on, he says, V'hu ke'inyan ma she'amru chachamim zichronim lebracha be'inyan, ha'or sheganzu HaKadosh Baruch Hu letzadikim, v'zu l'shonam, v'kevan shira or sheganzu HaKadosh Baruch Hu letzadikim samach, shene'emar, or tzadikim yismach. So we'll say, he quotes the example over here about the light created at the beginning of creation, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu went ahead and put away for the tzadikim. What does that mean? Hashem is creating light that serves the righteous. The idea all pointing to the same significance. The world was created for man, to serve man. But what do you mean to serve man? To allow man to build a meaningful material bridge between himself and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're material beings. So the way in which we often relate to things is on a material level. When I utilize the world and I see the beauty of the world and I use it to create a relationship between myself and Hashem, then ultimately I'm using the world for its intended purpose. And when I do so, I lift myself up, I lift the world up. And he says, Uke'inyan avnei hamakom shelakach Yaakov Avinu v'samer hashosov Amru B'Yitzchak melamed sheniskabtzu kulam b'makom echad v'haisa kol achas omeres Alai aniach tzadik rosho. Both in the episode in Parashas Vayetze, where the Torah describes that Yaakov Avinu took a rock and he placed it by his head. And remember again, the Gemara tells us that the rocks fought. They fought with each other. Alai yaniach rosho tzadik. Right? I want the tzadik's head to rest on me. What does it mean? The rocks are fighting. Right? Rocks don't fight. That's not people fight. Rocks don't fight. What's the pshat? Right? The metaphorical significance of it is the world, right? The material, the stones wanted to support the head of the tzaddik, because what the material world yearns to do is to serve as a platform, a springboard for us to come closer to Hashem. So Yaakov Avinu was about to have a magnificent dream in which he was about to see HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in which he was about to hear his destiny communicated to him. The rocks wanted to facilitate that dream. The rocks argued, who's going to get to support the head of the tzaddik when he has that dream? The material world wants, yearns, was designed, was created to serve as a platform for connection between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And therefore, says the Ramchal, When used appropriately, man lifts himself and the world up. But when chas v'shalom misused and abused, and how is the material world misused and abused? When the material world becomes an ends and not a means, when the pursuit of materialism becomes the goal and not the facilitator, then ultimately man brings himself down and the world along with it. Also, we'll stop over here for today. We'll continue in this topic a little bit tomorrow. Shkoyach.